This modern version becomes a protest song for the environment. The elements earth, wind, and fire have new meaning. The fire in the kitchen hearth has taken on a terrible dimension. Now the song spells out a deeper wisdom than those who sang the original words ever imagined. We are crossing the Tumenskaya region. Tumen is the capital of a region that produces most of the Commonwealth's oil. The oil industry has wrought tragedy. Pollution is destroying the landscape. This flame is money burning. Natural gas pipelines are broken and beyond repair. The gas is simply burnt off. The air stinks of chemicals. Leonid Brezhnev ran the Soviet Union from 1964 until his death in 1982. His reign became known as the period of stagnation. These old men brought the country to the brink of ruin, an impoverished society desperately in need of modernization. The oil industry started in Siberia in the 1960s. Tumen prospered under Brezhnev with an attitude of develop at all costs and damn the consequences. The region will be paying for those policies for decades. But Tumen is no longer a stronghold of stagnation. Glasnost has liberated the nation's media. This is the weekly editorial meeting of a Tumen newspaper. Their stories have exposed corruption and social problems in the city. Their readership has trebled. Alya Pozhidayeva and her husband, Valery Turin, write the paper's environmental feature stories. Both have received threats over articles they've written, but they refuse to be intimidated.
Recent changes in the country affected many spheres of our life, including journalism. We can now talk about things that we wouldn't have before. We began to look into subjects that earlier were close to us. Before, we were simply not able, not allowed to touch many important subjects. Now we can say more, with more truth.
Alya and Valery are flying north to the oil fields centered around the city of Nizhny Vartovsk. Nizhny Vartovsk was built as an oil town. 250,000 people live here, with 80,000 working in the oil industry. These apartment blocks are new, but badly built. The social facilities are poor, the landscape is desolate, and the air acrid. The Cumen region yields close to 1 billion barrels of oil each year. Much of the oil is lost, but the resources that are saved provide badly needed foreign currency.
Accidents. Yes, of course. There are lots of accidents, especially now. The large pipelines just break up. They are all very old. Before, if the pipeline broke, it would be like a tragedy. Everyone would come, all the superiors would come and have a look. But nowadays, they don't seem to notice it.
There are miles of pipes buried underground. The pipes corrode and burst. The oil spreads. It congeals on the forest floor. Huge forest fires break out. Thousands of square miles of pristine forest have been destroyed. It seeps down into the water table. Lakes are filling with oil. Vladimir Bowden works as a rigger.
Yes, but how can I explain it to you? I have regrets. If our ancestors saw the way we work, they'd be proud. We gave it all we have. Doesn't mean that we wanted this. It's a pity, of course, that it happened. It's distressing to see all this. Me and my son went fishing. We didn't catch any fish. My kid is very little. He asked, "Why haven't we caught anything? Are there any fish here at all?" He couldn't understand it, and I couldn't explain it to him. So we left. I know there will be a time when we'll be condemned, and my son will say, "You made all this mess." Now we say what was done was due to the stagnation period. It's not our fault. We blame the old people for the times of stagnation. But in the future, this nature that was destroyed, it will be blamed on us. It's a great pity and a shame, but that's what will happen. I don't know what can be done.
Red Express will continue on Discovery Journal.
In 1989, film...
The new Nissan Altima. It's time to expect more from a car.
Wow.
In the mountains of Colombia, rain breathes richness into the land. And the land gives its richness to the coffee. That's why Maxwell House blends its coffees with Colombian beans. Rich beans, rich coffee. Some have old-fashioned richness. Some have deep French flavor. Maxwell House uses more Colombian beans than anyone in America. The coffees of Maxwell House, blended with Colombian beans, because better beans make better coffee.
Retirement home. It's a leisure village.
One free 10-minute call a month, every month for an entire year.
There are lots of people here. I just have to meet them, that's all.
2 free hours of long distance in all.
Well, it's just a friendly game of dominoes.
It's MCI's gift to all friends and family members, even those who join now.
Al, would you believe this? I'm dating.
To accept this gift, call and tell us which member of your circle you'd like to call free. Name each other and get 4 hours free.
Say good morning to the landscape of the American adventure. Climb aboard with Joan, Charlie, and Spencer for the Great American Southwest Bus Tour, starting November 11th on Good Morning America.
Join a team of Japanese filmmakers as they attempt to discover the secrets of the red kangaroos of the outback. Monday at 9 Eastern, only on Discovery Showcase.
Call Belltone for a free hearing test and you'll say, nobody notices my bell tones. Nobody notices my bell tones.
Nobody notices my bell tones.
When you wear Belltone's tiny hearing aids, the only thing people notice is you, enjoying life. Only Belltone has 50 years experience and the clear voice noise filter that helps you understand voices in noisy places. Here's speech mixed with background noise. Now here's speech made clearer with Belltone's clear voice noise filter.
What are you waiting for? My bell tones don't slow me down. I'm not embarrassed by my tiny bell tones. They're almost invisible.
Now I hear everything I want to hear. Ooh, where's that come?
Call 1-800-776-7300 now and get the Belltone Guide to Better Hearing absolutely free. Call now and you'll also get this free hearing test coupon. Call today, 1-800-776-7300.
The Trans-Siberian regularly changes drivers and locomotives as it makes its way across the country. The inheritance of Brezhnev's period of stagnation is felt in the railways also.
Well, look at this locomotive. Do you think it's normal? It should be written off ages ago, 20 years ago. But it'll be on the track for another 20, 30 years. There is a shortage of locomotives. They keep on producing them, but there just aren't enough. The repairs never end. Whatever passenger trains you drive, there is no difference. The responsibility is the same. But I do feel proud inside, driving this train, train number 1, to Russia.
The culture of the gypsies can be traced back for centuries. Once, they crossed Siberia in wooden caravans. Now, they travel by train. There are over 200,000 gypsies in the Commonwealth. They use a variety of dialects with roots in a language they once spoke in India. The ancestors of these people started wandering 1,000 years ago. In the past, they were persecuted as vagabonds, beggars, and fortune tellers. They travel in the warmer months. Their leader, Nikolai, says it's in their blood.
We travel on the train, we get off, we rest for 2 or 3 days. We've come here to wash our clothes, that's all. It's natural. We offer peace to everybody. We don't deal with politics, because we have no autonomous republic. We live as freely as we have always done, and we'll go on living like this, by the fire. We were nomads in the past, traveling by horse from place to place. Now we have our own homes, we have everything. But we don't forget our traditions. The scholars say ours is a dying race. They say we'll intermarry with Russians and others. But this is something in our blood. We'll never marry Russians or any others. I will marry a full-blood gypsy, and our children will be full-blooded gypsies. And one day we'll have an autonomous republic of our own as well.
The gypsies, along with many others, suffered badly at the hands of this man, Joseph Stalin. He ruled the country as a dictator from 1924 until his death in 1953. He is still respected in many quarters as a strong and forceful leader, the man who conquered Nazi Germany. Today, people recognize another truth. Stalin was a bloodthirsty tyrant who crushed the spirit of his people. The smiling faces in this parade mask a brutal system. Stalin created a totalitarian socialist state in an effort to show the superiority of communism over capitalism. His Russia was to be a modern, industrialized world power. He stood no opposition. He shipped his enemies off to labor camps in the depths of Siberia. They were sent to work on grand projects like dams and factories. They became little more than slaves. Ordinary citizens lived in fear of being convicted on trumped-up charges. Neighbors and friends feared one another. The freedom to think your own thoughts was smashed by the dictator's iron fist. As a young man, Joseph Shalkovsky was a skilled worker in the construction industry. Today, he lives with his second wife, Katerina. She married a man scarred with the memories of 15 years spent in a Siberian labor camp.
Я с фронта пришел, был.
I came back from the front, the Polish front, and I was arrested because I said Stalin was no soldier. I called him an amateur. You know, it's so hard to remember. It's the truth, isn't it? It's true. And now I will say he wasn't a soldier. He was a scoundrel and a rogue. And you can do with it what you want. He was a scoundrel that murdered as many people as died in the war. He put down that many people.
Joseph Shelkovsky was imprisoned here. These are the ruins of a camp called Iskitium. Iskitium was notorious. Prisoners in other camps feared being sent here, for this was the end of the line. The prisoners quarried limestone. The dust from the lime burnt through their lungs. Thousands died.
На наших глазах. Вот, приводят с развода у лагерь.
In the evening, they brought us back to the camp. Shelkovsky, how much have you accomplished? Sir, 250%, sir. Go right through. Then he'd say, Petrovsky, how much have you accomplished? Sir, how can you talk about accomplishments when people can hardly stand? And they shot him right between the eyes. Bang, bang, bang. Shot in the head. And he's dead.
The exact figure is uncertain, but over 20 million people died as a result of Stalin's purges. The country still suffers today from the talent squandered in those years. A generation still exists that grew up surrounded by mistrust and fear.
О Сталине вообще не говорили. Только Сталин могли вот так.
We didn't talk about Stalin. You only had to say the word Stalin, and that was enough. You don't know those times. If you did know Stalin's times, you would still have fear inside you.
Red Express will continue on Discovery Journal.
Coming up next on Don't Miss Rock.
We are now halfway across Siberia, 3,000 miles from Moscow. Oksana and Christina are headed to the next big city, Novosibirsk, to start the new term at the city's famous ballet school.
One has to work and work. You can't relax for a moment. You have to show yourself off. Prepare yourself for the big stage. Exit into the big arena, as people say. The competition is very strong. There is competition in our class, but it's kind competition. We keep level with each other. But on the stage, it will be different.
We are crossing the River Ob, one of the world's longest rivers. It flows nearly 2,500 miles north across Siberia to the Arctic Circle. On the far shore is Novosibirsk, home to 1.5 million people. It's the largest city in Siberia. 100 years ago, it didn't exist. The city owes its spectacular growth to the railway. Novosibirsk is the industrial center of Siberia. Most workers are employed in the steel and chemical industries, but there is more to this city than smokestacks and factories. Novosibirsk offers a world-class ballet school. The school has 120 students attending a 6-course program of study. The school is one of the best in the country. Oksana is 16 and in her final year.
Yes, it's a good school. People that graduate from here get good professional grounding. They are ready for the big stage. They prepare many good graduates here. And they are good teachers, so I wouldn't complain about the school. I guess it's an unusual career, but I'm pleased that I chose this profession rather than any other. And at this school, we meet a lot of interesting people. We travel to festivals and to competitions. It develops your worldview. The benefits are for the rest of your life. You don't just see pictures. You see it with your own eyes and come to your own conclusions. We have a very interesting life.
Она это как вот так вот делает, он ей опять наступит. Нет, она такая стоит. Нет, она вот так вот сделала.
The students live at the school, leaving their families for up to 4 months at a time. These children lead a demanding life. In addition to ballet training, the students take a full schedule of classes. Discipline is strict. Many dream of success on the stage, but few succeed. There is a lot of pressure on these young students. 10-year-old Christina is in her first year and living away from home for the first time. Sometimes she finds it difficult.
И раз, и два. Перекличка. Пауза. Пяточку подвернуть. И раз, еще. Вытянуться наверх. И вздох. Крепче носочки дотягивайте.
I'll be dancing on stage, like my friend Oksana. She's big. She'll finish her 3rd year soon.
There's a competition coming up, so there's a good chance. I think I should make it. I really hope I do. If you are tough on yourself and persistent, be obstinate even, then I'm sure I can do everything I want to. Basically, if a person really wants something, they'll do it.
The people of the Commonwealth love to talk politics, and these days they do it openly. Across the country they gather in parks. But times of strife breed extremism. This crowd is to be addressed by members of a group called Pamyat. Anti-Semitism is again on the march in the land. Anti-Jewish sentiment and violence are increasing.
In the year 2000, they will rule the world. This is no joke. I'll say it again. 65% of gold is in their hands. The newspapers of the whole world, the majority of them are in their hands. This will continue for as long as it takes our people to wake up. So, tell the truth to your friends, neighbors, colleagues. It's impossible to say it all in this meeting.
Anti-Semitism is nothing new here. Some say it's still part of everyday life.
In Novosibirsk, I believe anti-Semitism is strong, and it goes quite deep.
Pamyat started here in Novosibirsk. Its power base is in St. Petersburg. Young men in Nazi-like black shirts make life a misery for Jewish families. Many Jews have left the Commonwealth, and the ones who stay fear religious persecution. We are leaving Novosibirsk. We continue on toward Vladivostok and the Pacific coast. With food in short supply across the country, the meals on the Trans-Siberian are basic but filling, mostly stew and bowls of borscht. On some sections of the journey, there are 2 dining cars. It's a holdover from the recent past, when locals were given limited access to foreigners, and vice versa. These 2 Americans are on their way to China.
I do think it's an interesting trip, just to see how Russians live. This will sound patronizing, and I don't exactly mean it that way, but I feel really sorry for the Russians, that so much of what they have to do is difficult. There's obviously not a lot of comfort, there's a lot of effort without a lot of reward. There's obviously not a lot of fun. It's not very pretty, very often. Birch trees notwithstanding. I'm very grateful that I'm here in the fall with the color, because that's a treat for us.
As the days roll into nights, the video lounge becomes a favorite retreat. Red Express will continue on Discovery Journal.
Coming up.
Women have been the backbone of the nation's workforce. On the railways, they do much of the heavy, dirty work, often laboring in gangs, maintaining the tracks. The male population was decimated during Stalin's purges in the Second World War. And today, women outnumber men by more than 20 million. Larissa Langeouk is 22 years old and has been working as a track fitter since she was 17. Larissa rises every day at dawn to take her 6-year-old son Andre to school before heading off to work. She was learning to be a pastry cook, but that changed when she became pregnant.
Yes, that's the whole thing. I was forced to go out to work. Obviously, I'm not the only one. Now I think it's every second woman. That's how we do it here. Have a baby at 16, quit school and go to work. At 16. We work with diesel oil. Scrape the railway points. Our sleeves are soiled, our pants are filthy. We stand in the queue in the dining room, and we're all dirty. Everybody keeps away from you. They push you away. I think I've been through everything. And now I'll work here just a little longer, then I'll leave. I have to think of my health. Give your life away, and who needs you afterwards?
In this society with virtually no sex education, and where the average woman has 7 abortions in her lifetime, today's changes are long overdue. Women want change, so when possible, they're embracing a gentler, more traditional role, escaping heavy manual labor to become homemakers. The Trans-Siberian Express has reached Irkutsk, a city with a rich cultural history. There's a hint of Paris in the wide, leafy streets. Once, this was a stopover for the caravans bringing tea from China to Europe. Later, gold fever broke out. Irkutsk took on the look of a Wild West town. There were gambling dens, fights, and drunkenness. The cultural traditions of the city were brought here by exiles. a group known as the Decembrists. These aristocratic idealists led a revolt in St. Petersburg against the cruelties of the Tsar in December of 1825. Their revolution was crushed within 24 hours. 121 Decembrists were exiled to Siberia. They were influenced by French humanism. They loved music and freedom of thought. They believed all people were born equal. They opened up schools and educated the locals. The Decembrist spirit lives in the hearts of many Siberians. Near Irkutsk is Lake Baikal, where 20% of the Earth's fresh water flows into the world's deepest lake. Environmentalists still struggle to shut down paper mills like this one, which pollute the water, and there have been some victories. Logging of the area's extensive forests was causing Baikal to silt up. Logging has been halted in the forests surrounding the lake, and the region has been declared a national park. Autumn at Baikal has passed into winter. The landscape is covered in snow and ice. Ahead is far eastern Siberia, with temperatures that drop to 50 below. The next leg for the Trans-Siberian Express is the Pacific coast and the once forbidden city of Vladivostok.
If you've ever thought about running away to the French Foreign Legion, think again. Discover the dirty and demanding life of the Legionnaire on World of Valor. Next on the Discovery Channel.